You are tired of being in the same space that you've always been. It's been a long time since you felt successful, but like aligned with that. And you know, it's time to kind of like step into a whole new space for yourself and give yourself permission to be in a different lane than the one that you have been living in, right? And so you're being called to that. And if that fits for you at all, then my name is Jen, the founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness, and I'm a transformational purpose coach and expert. And what I do is work with women. I was one of them who gets partway through their life, usually kind of midlife, and they have all the things and they don't feel aligned. They don't feel good about it. They're not exactly sure if they know what their purpose is anymore. They started in one place, they're kind of landing in another. They feel called to do something different, but they're scared shitless because they've built this whole thing. And letting go of that is terrifying, right? And so what we do is work to get clarity around whether you can stay where you are and still function the way that's going to fit in alignment for you, whether we need to make some sort of lane change, whether smaller or bigger is what we decide together. And then I help you figure out how you're going to take the steps to do that. And so today we're going to be talking about one of my very favorite things is meaning and purpose. We're going to start with that, then we're going to do a visualization. So I'm going to ask you to stay with me today, because I have a few myths I want to dispel about purpose, and just make sure I'm talking about that from time to time. And then we're going to do a visualization for your wild ass self. Okay. So we're going to harness that today. I promise there's a visualization coming. So what I want to just talk about today briefly, one of the things that I worked in my office for 20 years is meaning. And so I know that one of the biggest things that the human person spiritually is going to be working towards is having a sense of meaning. Right. And so if you're a person walking the planet, most of us would like to have some sense of meaning or impact to our lives. So let me know if that's true for you. I'd love to hear in the comments. Would you like to leave something of a legacy in your steed, right? Like, so in the exit of your life, would you like to have created some impact here? Okay. All the women I'm working with, that's hardcore for them, and it's hardcore for me. So I'm speaking right into the heart of this whole thing. So what I want to dispel before we do our visualization today, thank you, Angel. I know you want to leave a big legacy. I already know your heart, sister. I love that. Thank you for answering me. Angel's got big things to do. So what I want to talk about today is the myths around purpose. Why am I doing this? Because it's one of those things. I do this so much, I forget that I sort of leave people in the dust. Right? I'm like wildly doing my work. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. Not everybody gets what the hell I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about today the 3 myths around purpose I love dispelling. Okay. Right out the gate. This shouldn't take us long, but I really like to make sure our eyes are wide open to what we're talking about. By the way, I do love this shirt. Can we give a hands up? I walked in a boutique in my local area and I was like, oh, hells yes, that's coming home with me. You may see a repeat of this shirt, just saying. Okay. Cause I freaking love it. All right. So one of the first ones we're going to talk about today is that it's a role. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when it comes to their work with me and coaching is that they come in and they're like, my role, my purpose is a role. Okay. Yes, you needs one. Isn't this shirt banging? I know, right, Angel? Sorry, as we talk about the shirt. So what I want you to think about is that that's too small. Okay. So things I hear are things like I'm a teacher, I'm a mom, I'm a partner, a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, which is all great. That's all great. Those are the ways that you do and live out your purpose. That's actually not your purpose. That's way too freaking small. It's way too confined. Okay. And so the other thing that I hear a lot from people is that it's fixed. This was one of my struggles. So I believed I landed in my private practice. I'm like, this is it forever, right? Like, ta-da, like, pull the rabbit out of the hat. And here I am. And this is going to be forever. And this is it. And I got it. I nailed it down, right? Only to get partway through and go, like, this is not for me. What the hell happened? What is broken in me? Like, I thought I had this all nailed out. Like, I totally knew what I was going to be doing until I retired. How did I get here? What's wrong with me? And then a whole slew of other stuff we won't get to today because, right, we'll talk about that with time. But your role, your energy, your purpose is not fixed. Okay. Again, too small. Okay. Too small. So one of the things that I really see people make a mistake, you're going to hear me say this, is you are thinking way too effing small about your purpose. Way too tight, way too constrained. Okay. And so we want to make sure we're expansively seeing how we actually show up and why is that important? Okay. The third one is the steps that got you to where you land are a waste of time. So I hear people say this, one of my very favorites, if Ron ever listens to me live, he'll laugh that I'm telling the story, right? But like I was doing this interview with this gentleman, I was a guest on his podcast. Of course, we're talking purpose. And I'm talking to him about his journey. And I asked him a question about his purpose. And it was really fun to hear him talk it out. I love it. And I don't sit and like, kind of go at people because that's safe for coaching, but I'm like, oh, there's so much more to you, but that's okay. Like, so he's saying to me that he worked at NASA. He's like, yeah, it really didn't get me to where I wanted to go. This is me. NASA, right? If I worked at NASA, I would wear a t-shirt every single day that said I worked at NASA. I don't even care if I was still working there. I would say every single freaking day, I worked at NASA. Do you feel me? Okay. Like that's the coolest thing ever. But for him, because it wasn't exactly in alignment with where he wanted to go, he could kind of look at it as a waste of time. And I want us to really be clear that every single thing you've ever done, every single job, every single experience is actually preparing you for where you're going to land in your purpose. Okay. So you have to think so much bigger. So I was joking about some of the jobs. I was just did this in another community where I was going live, and I was talking about like, I walked a pink cat back and forth in front of KB Toys in Madison, Wisconsin for 8 hours a day. I did that. I cleaned up snake shit in an apartment one time when I was doing cleaning for apartments to prepare them for new people to move in. Did that. I have worked as a manager in a shoe store. I have worked in renting apartments to people. Oh my God. I worked in the geography department of my college to help make money when I was going to school, transcribing something. I don't even remember what the hell I did. You guys, I've done everything. Like I've done almost everything and then some, like in some capacity. It's so funny that I've been in so many weird places. And I love telling those stories because I think people sort of just look at us and imagine we landed fully formed in adult shape in the place we were meant to be. Like, nope, that's not how it went. I went through a bunch of stuff. I had to learn. I had to figure it out, right? Angel said it wasn't his passion, so it didn't really seem a big deal to him. Yeah, Dan, look at you. I love it, right? But like, so funny about how people imagine that their steps along the way are a waste. They're never a waste, right? Every single thing I did, I was either meeting a person who was going to get me somewhere I needed to go. They were going to teach me a lesson. It was a place that was somehow powerfully aligned for me that I was going to, I worked as an accountant. This could go on, right? Do you feel me? So one in the comments, you have to tell me what's the weird job no one would think you did. Would you share it with me? Because I like love this stuff. Okay. That was one of mine. Cleaning snake shit was one of my also favorites. Didn't know I was doing it till after, thank God, because I would have like pooped my own pants. But I love talking about this. All those places, people, experiences are getting you ready. Everything is preparation. So if you really have a different lens on, that different hat on, you're like, hey, this is all just getting me ready. That's a different Bang & lens to use than the one that's like, this is a waste of time. Nothing's a waste of time. I very clearly say, this is one of my favorites, is at 17, I experienced something really traumatic as a teenager. And I know it was getting me ready to be an adolescent psychotherapist for 20 years, right? Okay. Like I really clearly hear me say, that's the meaning I made out of that experience. Was it a job? Nope. But it was an experience, powerful experience. I had a really rough labor and childbirth experience where my daughter came really early. That was an experience. I lost my own mother to cancer. Every single thing that I garner as an experience is helping me understand how to step more fully into my purpose, job and experience alike, right? So I really want us to think bigger than that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what it really is, here's what it really is though. So this is the money, right? Are you ready listening in? Okay, she was an industrial, I love it. Angel was a cashier at an industrial discount store. Oh my God. I literally love it. That's not that weird though. I mean, it's not that weird, Angel. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, like, thank you for sharing it. But I'm like, that's not, cleaning snake shit's kind of like a whole epic, like it ought to be its whole own camp maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I just love it. I love the weird things we've all done. It's so fun. Okay. Here's what it really is. So you've heard me say this quote. If you've been following me for a minute, you hear me say this quote all the time, but roll with me for a minute because it's actually pivotal in what I'm going to explain to you about what it really is that you're doing here. Okay. So Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Okay. One more time. They'll forget what you said. They'll forget what you did. They'll never forget how you made them feel. That's absolutely the basis of my signature way of looking at purpose. And so to me, who you are and what you are isn't a role. It isn't defined. It is something so much bigger than that. It's actually the energetic expression, how you show up in the world. And everybody does that differently. And we might call it something similar because we need words for things, right? But we're not going to ever do it the same way as anybody else. Ever, never, never. Like there's only one of you in all of time. There's only one exact expression that you bring. And putting some language to it is very, very helpful. But I want you to understand that that's really what you're trying to step into, is that awareness that like you're bigger than a role. You're bigger than an experience. You're bigger than something that's going to stay one shape form for the rest of duration. Okay. So I want you to get the mind much bigger. So Angel said, condescending men are not my forte. Was that part of your job? Try working with children in a toy store. I might have an OCD. Can you guys, it still makes me laugh. That's like the most hilarious job. One of them I've ever had. Some of my friends work there. That made it all okay. But anyway, so I want you to think about how you make people feel. It's actually the vibration that you give off. So it's one of the reasons I talk so much about energies. If you're ever like listening to me talking, you're like, why is she talking about, she going about energy? It's like purpose, right? Like, doesn't she do purpose? Yes. And within that umbrella is energy. And that's actually the expression for how you show up to your purpose in this lifetime. Okay. So much bigger. Okay. It was a big majority of the customers she said that she worked with. I believe that. I have to think about who I dealt with a lot, except for children. Okay. So here's what I want to say. When I started out, if you would have said to me 2 years ago, what's your purpose, Jen? I would have said to help other people, which I love because that's not big enough either. So I'm like, I have a good laugh at myself. I'm like, that's not as big as what I'm meant to do here. It's just not, that doesn't capture it, right? Do you feel me? There isn't a role that's going to capture the magic that you have. There isn't a single thing you're going to do that's going to be the one vessel. That's not what it looks like. So if I want you to imagine for a minute that what it is that when people come into your energetic realm, let's just say there's a 20-foot realm around you, that when they come in, they're going to have an experience, right? That makes sense. Okay. Right. So just like we could tell if somebody's having a bad day or they're in a bad mood or someone's also super excited and celebratory, we feel it coming off of them. It's not just how they say, what they do. It's a feeling. It's a vibration. Okay. That's what you are, is a living, walking vibration. We know it's science. It's not anything I'm like, oh my God, look at my novel idea. It's science. Okay. So we want you to have your big hat on for it being so much bigger than something that a role, or that it's fixed, or that your stuff that came before was junk. None of it's junk. Everything is getting you ready to do what you're meant to do. Okay. So I love that. I thought my purpose was helping people. That is one of the ways I do my purpose. It's how I live and show you with a doing action what my purpose is. Okay. So mine, I'll share mine because I think this is helpful. Like I see myself as a transformer, like, not the 80s machine that moves from car to something fantastical. Although that's fun. Right. So mine is really a transformer, like an energy, right? The actual energetic transformers out on, the electrical poles and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yep. Cause that's like, woo, like electricity. I have a big vibe. I have a big energy. Okay. And also that when people come into my wheelhouse, my hope, my purpose is to help them transform. So they come into my wheelhouse and off they go. And I hope that they're transformed in that journey of time with me. Okay. So transformation. So it's no joke that I say I'm a transformational purpose coach. I'm using my purpose language right in how I describe what I do. Okay. So now I did a lot of work to arrive to that. That's not something that like I pull out of a hat either, right? I had to do my own personal work in that to figure that all out. So, but I wanted to give you an example of what it looks and sounds like, because I think that that's helpful to kind of have a hat on, like, okay, what does it look like? How does Jen think about it? Right. And so this is what I love doing with my coaching clients, because people oftentimes don't really know what their purpose is. They've got sense about it. They're not coming to me absolutely not having any idea about it, but they come in and they're like, I think it's and I'm not really sure if it's and like my favorite is really helping them get complete clarity. Like, drop you in. Why is that important? Because for the rest of my life, no matter where I go or what my circumstance is, I now forevermore know that's exactly how I'm going to show up to it. Forever. You can never unknow it. That's the coolest thing ever. Having a knowledge about yourself and the way that you show up in the world that's forever. And so no matter what circumstance I'm in or what lane I'm in, I'm always providing my service that way. It's always going to come out from the same space. And if I look back at my entire life, it's true of my entire life. Once I locked into this energetic expression, I'm like, that's it. That's how I've done my whole life. And it's what people tell me I do. So it's not just my experience. Also, by the way, it's also what other people have told me that it's like to be in my sphere. So there's a combination of all the stuff that we do to kind of get there. But that's kind of the journey. And I want to talk about that because I really, truly believe that many people misinterpret or misunderstand what their purpose is, or they make it way too small. Here's why that matters. If I go, I'm a mom, my daughter's graduating and going off to college. Who am I when my daughter goes? I hear this all the time from moms. My kid's graduating, they're moving on, they're getting married, they're doing their lives now. Who am I without my kid? Maybe, and this is, I'm not trying to be more, but like a partner passes away or whatever, right? Or you get divorced. You're like, oh, but I'm a married person. Well, maybe you're not a married person. Are you not meaningful and valuable if you're not a married person? I mean, that's ridiculous. But right, our minds, when we attach too firmly, when we grip onto roles as a purpose, when the roles in our world change, we feel all kinds of effed up. We go, I don't know what I do if I'm not a mother, if I'm not, I got feelings about my kid moving out. Trust me, all sorts of grief. Trust me. I mean, it's a big transition, right? I'm still who I am. I still have value innately because my value isn't connected only to my role as a mom or as my role as a healer or my role when I was a psychotherapist, right? It's so much bigger than it. Can you see that? And I really want you to feel that. Like, we do this to ourselves inadvertently. I'm only valuable if ... No, right? It's not the job you have. The job is just one of the vessels you can serve it in, right? I'm really lucky. My work is exactly the vessel that I get to deliver my purpose in. I'm really, really blessed. And I just find new ways to do that as I'm called, because I'm being needed in a different way. I'm being needed in a different venue, right? So we have to re-examine. We have to be willing to switch lanes. Okay. It's a lot of what I work with women in, helping them work into that different lane. Okay. All right. So we release. All right, we're going to do a visualization because you are the best. But I wanted to say that, and I would love for you to share with me, if you'd be willing, what you think your purpose is. Are you willing to be brave? Because I love it. I want to start, and I'm going to tell you this. I will tell you very clearly. Please share your wackadoodle job you had that no one knows, because I love that. That's super fun. And then 2, I want you to share about your purpose for me. Please, please, please. What do you think your purpose is? And if you're starting somewhere, this is zero judgment. If you're starting somewhere, it's like, I'm helping other people. Namaste, been there. I used to have a t-shirt to prove it, but I'm just telling you, better done that. So I want you to really invite in. Don't sweat that. Just give it your best shot. Tell me what you think your purpose is in the comments so I can kind of help. Let me step in. Like, yay, thumbs up. Or I wonder if that's too small yet, because I see you and know your soul. Like, I know that it's bigger than that, right? So I will lovingly come at you to try to support you shifting a little bit to kind of come out of that space. And that's really the work I do in coaching. But if I can start it here and just kind of help you, like, wiggle your way a little bit closer, I'm for that. So let me know. Comment below. Okay, visualization. Are you ready? I love this stuff. Okay, so we're all about wild, right? Staying wild. You love my shirt. I love my shirt. I actually want another one, so I'm going to find, but you'll probably see this replay this month. Just saying, because I love it so much and I love the colors in it. Okay. I invite you to close your eyes if you want. You can leave your eyes open and find a focal point, whatever's comfortable for you, but we're going to go in and do a little bit of visualization now. And I do better if I'm not like watching and seeing something. So I know that I'm weird and I have lots of expressions, but I swear to you, while I'm teaching visualization, you don't need to see what I'm doing. I promise. Okay. So if you close the eyes or soften the gaze and find something else to look at except for me and my face, and I just want you to listen to the sound of my voice. And I want you to imagine that you're anchoring in through your seat. So just allowing that seat to really anchor into the chair you're on, wherever you're seated. Nice tall spine if you can, actually. And the reason that we want a nice tall spine is to allow the energy to flow more fluidly through the body. And taking a few breaths. Take a few mindful breaths here as you're really sinking and settling in. Beginning to deepen and lengthen the breath. Giving yourself permission to take this time. And I want you to imagine for me, if you can, a little dial that you have, right? From 0 to like maybe, I don't know, 10. Okay, I was going to say 100 because I'm so extra. Let's do 0 to 10. And right now what I want you to do is I want you to take all the stuff in your life that's a distraction. Your work, your thoughts, your emotions, what you've got going on today, what came before this. And I want you to take that down. I want you to turn it all the way to 0. And what I want you to do is really just create the time right now to be present in this moment. And so that's what that dial is all about. Is you just say, I got you. And when we're done, you can turn that dial back up. Okay. But for right now, let the world get very, very quiet. We're going to come into this space and time together. And if you know me, we're going to go back to the jungle. We're back into the jungle. So last week we did a visualization where we kind of ended up swathing our way through the jungle. And today we're going to go, and there's already a path. You're welcome. So less work today. So walking through the jungle, which is lush and green, I want you just to imagine that, right? In your mind's eye, call up the sounds you would hear, the birds, and there's so much vibrancy and teeming life. And it's a gorgeous, like sunny day. And as you walk through the path, you come to a clearing that is a circular shape. And there are two stones, flat stones, sitting across from each other, perfect for sitting. And taking a seat here, just marveling as you're listening to all the life within the jungle space, right? The fresh smell of the earth and the grass. And in some ways, almost feeling like you're outside of time. Like this place and space is untouched by anything else. And it's just so beautiful and peaceful. And so just breathing here. And then you begin to notice some footsteps. And the footsteps are coming in, and you begin to make out that there is a woman coming towards you. Or a man, if you're listening. And I'm going to talk in the she pronoun. And so she's a little wild looking, right? Her hair is a little messy. And she feels fierce, but not scary. She's just direct. And there's a power emanating out of her. And she comes to sit across from you on the other stone. And she is like you. She is you. She's just without all the conditioning, before the world got a hold of her and told her who and how to be. And she's wild like the jungle and astoundingly beautiful for her confidence and her power. She's not timid, afraid, uncertain. You just sense from her that she knows. And this beautiful wild version of you speaks, and she says, "What questions do you have for me? I am here to help support you in standing in your power, your vision, and purpose. To stand in wild alignment." And taking time here for a few moments, I want you to imagine the questions you have for this part of you. How you can be more like her. How can you harness that beautiful energy, that power, confidence, drive, vision, certainty. And so with the breath here, having that conversation with that wild part of who you are as you breathe. And now, having had a few moments to just listen to that wild part of your soul, giving you some ideas, what were you able to ask? How can you stand more fully in the power that she emanates? Right? That wild, unconditioned part of who you are. And taking a moment to thank her for her insight and wisdom. And imagine that as you stand to leave, this wild part of you embraces you. And she's giving you a gift. And in your mind's eye, as you breathe, imagine the gift that she's giving you as a symbol of that internal wild spirit. Imagining whatever that gift might look like, what that symbol is. And I invite you, as you breathe here, to place that symbol wherever you need it. It might be your heart, it might be your mid-body, that solar plexus place of confidence and wild power. It might be in the heart space for greater self-love and compassion, right? It might be for the throat to have a bigger voice in the world, to send a message. It could be in the mind and the intuition to really tap fully into that space, to trust and have certainty there. Whatever it is, allow yourself that moment to put that symbol, that beautiful gift, in one of those places where it's going to be of the best and highest use at this time. And thanking her once again. And turning around and heading back down that path. Beautiful jungle, full of gorgeous trees and the birds. A path laid out before you, the one you carved last week. Breathing here. And coming back into your time and space, really feeling that rooted space and anchor through the seat. Feeling the breath as it's flowing in and out of the belly, the mid-body, the lungs, and the heart space. Maybe flowing air in and out through the nostrils, really just grounding and rooting as you're breathing here. Having had a journey into that wild part of who you are, seeing her vibrance, being able to ask a question, right? Taking that internally in as a symbol or gift to help liberate you, provide you the freedom to step fully into who you are and want to be. And I invite you to sense the energy shift, right? Where were you before we started? Where are you now? Are you feeling a little more inspired, a little fiery, a little more free, right? Ready to kind of tap into your power. Are you feeling a little more powerful? And this is the kind of thing that I love to do with coaching clients because it's like a state change and it doesn't take us actually a lot of time. That was probably like a 10 or 15 minute journey. And just like that, we can change our mind space. Oh, I don't want to leave your dial sitting there. I invite you, that dial where we kind of turned the world off, you can turn that back up if it make you feel better, to kind of come back into the world and step back into your day. I just want to close today, and thank you for being here with me, and say that I really want us to all be working in this space of our inner wild this month. As we head into May, it's a powerful time of growth, and the energy sort of supports us expanding and coming outside of that container, which is one of my very favorite tools to teach women, and also to tap into that sense of purpose that we talked about earlier. So we kind of have two things we did today. There's a lot going on, and that first whole part talking about purpose, what that actually is versus what we might think it is. I love dispelling those myths. I'd love to hear from those comments. What weird and wacky job did you have in your life that you probably thought was a joke, but nonetheless, it helped you in your journey? But give me your wackiest job ever. Tell me what you think your purpose is. And then I would love that visualization. What did you learn? Are you willing to share with me, right? This is the coaching work that I love doing. Like, what did you take away from that visualization? You went in, you were diving deep, you were sitting across from this wild, unencumbered part of who you are in your soul. And she is wild like the jungle. And like, what did she have to say to you? How can she support you? She showed up and she was like, what can I do to help light this path for you? How can I support you living fully into your purpose? And that's really what you're doing. The wild part of who you are is the most untainted, unconditioned, rule following part of who you are, right? It's like the most authentic, free from all that BS part of who you are. Tapping into that allows you, excuse me, to really tap more fully into that purpose without the ideas of what it should be. That's why we do these kind of tasks, right? When I teach you meditations or visualizations, or we're doing tapping, or we're doing any of that kind of stuff, that's why it's there, right? It's so powerful to help illuminate your path for you. And so you really want to be able to tap into that part of your soul, okay? Angel said, I definitely need to let my wild woman out. Yeah, you do. We all do. they just get covered up by all the stuff of life. And that's what we talked about last week. So I don't want to like re-examine that. You can go back to the last video, but I really do believe that that's a really powerful component of what you want to step into in order to really tap into that purpose and stand in it with a stance of power and confidence. That's really, really powerful stuff, right? And so I thank you for joining me. I want to just leave all that there. That's a lot. That's like drinking from a fire hose. But I realize, like I said, that what happens when I teach my work, my message, I forget that everybody hasn't been with me the whole time. And I forget that, you know, I know what energy means for purpose, but everybody else in the world might not quite have made that connection. So it's making that deep connection for people to start standing in that more fully and understanding when I'm talking about energy, what I mean. If I'm frequency and your frequency, we know that that's a big component of our entire experience here. And how we leave people feeling is a really powerful way to think about what your purpose actually is, right? Which is so much bigger than a role. It's so much bigger than a task. It's so much bigger than that. You are so much bigger than that. And so hopefully I got you at least thinking, right? This is one of my favorite things to do in any live that I do is get you thinking about something differently. It was one of my favorite joys in therapy was helping people kind of digest and bite into something in a different way because we don't all learn the same way. I'm really visual. I'm really experiential. I love, you know, like drawing things out, mapping things out. That's where the way that I'm wired. And so each of us is really different. So it's going to take someone explaining something that's going to land in the heart. Okay. All right. Two things. One, if you ever have a question and you want to talk about in depth what your purpose is, please know you can direct message me anytime. And we will get together. We will chat. I love doing that. It's one of my very favorite things to get to know you better and understand where you're sitting with things and see how I can step in and support that journey to have you tap into that inner wild. Secondly, I want you to know I'm hosting a free webinar in May. It's coming up on May 18th. It's a Wednesday. I hope I said that right. I'm not looking at a calendar. Wednesday, May 18th, I'm going to be hosting a free webinar, and it is going to be about wild alignment and tapping into that inner wild and purpose. And so it's going to be a really fun, juicy webinar about alignment, which I'm like hella fired up to do. And so I would love to have you come join us in that free webinar. Again, cost you nothing. The only thing I need is your email so I can send you the link. Already signed up for that. Whoop, whoop. Angel's already signed up. I'm so excited. And so that's what I want to invite you to do is sign up for that webinar. I will drop that link for you, and you can then tap into signing up for that. Super easy, quick, and I promise. But I would love to have you come join me and ask questions. Please don't be afraid. Like, these lives are so much more fun when someone is able to put themselves out there like Angel did. Like Angel commented a whole bunch today. Like, that gets me so excited when people are willing to risk and share and be a little vulnerable. That's where our biggest work happens. 150,000%. I'm going to tell you, when you're willing to risk and put yourself out there a bit, you're going to grow and expand the most. All right. So you want to step into that wild part of who you are. That's going to have to look like you putting it out there, right? Connecting. So free webinar coming up. And if you want to ever talk to me more fully about your purpose, I would love to do a call with you and help see if we can get you moving in a direction that's going to be super supportive in helping you to rise on your path to purpose. Until next time, my loves, blessings, love, and light. This is Jen signing off, and I will see you next time supporting you on your path to purpose. Take care, everybody.